In 2023, a 19-year-old named Mackenzie Shirilla stood in an Ohio courtroom. Pleading for mercy, she had one goal: to convince the judge that what happened was a tragic mistake, that she didn't mean to kill anyone, that she didn't even remember the crash. But the court didn't buy it. Despite her emotional plea, and even pleas from those closest to her, the verdict was clear. Mackenzie Shirilla would serve a long sentence for ending the lives of two young men with bright futures. Their names were Dominic Russo, her 20-year-old boyfriend, and Davian Flanagan, 19, a mutual friend. All three were in the same car that night. The car was traveling at 100 miles per hour. Only one of them walked away. It was just before dawn on July 31, 2022. In Strongsville, Ohio, Mackenzie, then 17, just 2 days shy of turning 18, was behind the wheel of her Toyota Camry. She was smiling, carefree, driving Dominic and Davian home after a party. At 5:34 a.m., surveillance footage captured the car making a normal right turn. Nothing looked out of the ordinary, but just minutes later, a second camera caught the same car rocketing forward at dangerous speed. At 6:15 a.m., a jogger passing by a quiet business complex near Cleveland froze. A mangled car had wrapped itself around a light pole when police and EMTs arrived. They found one of the most horrific crash scenes they'd ever seen. The impact had been so violent. Dominic and Davian's bodies were torn apart. Body parts were scattered across the pavement. Even before watching the footage, investigators knew something wasn't right. The wreckage, the force of impact, the placement of debris. It didn't look like a simple crash. And once they pulled Mackenzie from the vehicle, unconscious but alive, the questions began. Initially, police assumed it was a tragic case of reckless teen driving. Maybe she was drunk, maybe high, maybe the car malfunctioned. Toxicology reports confirmed all three had alcohol and drugs in their systems. They'd been partying, then they got into Mackenzie's car. Moments later, two of them were gone. Mackenzie, despite critical injuries, survived. Doctors called it a miracle. Most expected the case to move forward as a fatal accident. But behind the scenes, detectives were starting to dig deeper, and what they found changed everything. At first, the public heard little. The case dragged on for months with no official updates. Police said it was because Mackenzie had been a minor at the time, and juvenile cases had to be handled carefully. But privately, they were uncovering signs that this wasn't a tragic mistake, it was something darker. In March 2023, nearly 8 months after the crash, prosecutors made a stunning announcement. Mackenzie Shirilla would be charged with 2 counts of murder, and she would be tried as an adult. Why? Because this wasn't just about bad choices or teen recklessness. This was about intent. Red flags had been there all along. At just 15 or 16, Mackenzie was already drinking, using marijuana, and flaunting it on social media. In one TikTok, she posed in heavy makeup with the caption, "I'm one of those girls who can take all kinds of drugs and not die." Her mother even liked the post. Then came the relationship with Dominic, on again, off again, filled with screaming matches and emotional chaos. Friends described it as volatile, at times scary. One of Dominic's friends, Christopher, later told police about a disturbing phone call on July 17th. Just 2 weeks before the crash, Dominic had called, begging for a ride. In the background, Christopher could hear Mackenzie screaming, "I'll crash this car if you don't shut the F up." It wasn't an empty threat. Just 5 days later, on July 22nd, Mackenzie showed up outside Dominic's house, yelling for him to come out. When he didn't, she tore at the door handle so violently it broke. She shouted, "If you don't open this door, you're going to regret it." Dominic was scared enough to call his mom and send her audio of the confrontation. And yet, just days after that, the two were seen laughing together at the same party. It was a toxic cycle: rage, fear, and reconciliation on repeat. At school, Mackenzie had a reputation. Some classmates said they were terrified of her. Others claimed, "We always knew she'd ruin someone's life one day." Davian, the second victim, had nothing to do with the drama. He was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But prosecutors later brought in mental health experts who suggested Mackenzie might suffer from borderline personality disorder. If true, it could explain how she saw Davian not as a person, but as just someone in the backseat. Her rage was all aimed at Dominic. That theory remained speculation until November 4th, 2022. That day, investigators searched Mackenzie's house and uncovered chilling evidence. Her car's black box, the onboard crash data recorder, revealed exactly what had happened. Right before impact, the car accelerated to over 100 miles per hour. The gas pedal was pressed to the floor for a full 5 seconds. The steering wheel was turned intentionally, almost as if she were trying to align the car with the light pole. But the most damning discovery was her phone's GPS data. 3 days before the crash, Mackenzie had visited that exact stretch of road, circled. It drove back and forth, as if she were planning, scouting, when the crash came. It wasn't random, it was premeditated. After the incident, Mackenzie posted heartfelt tributes to Dominic online, writing things like, "I miss you so much. I feel like you're going to walk through that door any second." To some, it read like grief, but to the prosecution, it was performance. Especially after they found out that, while Mackenzie was still recovering in the hospital, a modeling agency left a comment on one of her photos. She responded excitedly. Her mom was thrilled. The image of a grieving girl started to crack. Then came the Halloween video, just 3 months after the crash. Mackenzie posted a TikTok of herself in corpse makeup, dancing, laughing, joking with friends. Prosecutor Timothy Troop played it in court. When it ended, he turned to the jury and said, "That is not what remorse looks like." Her mother tried to explain it all away. She claimed Mackenzie had spent months mourning Dominic, wearing his clothes, listening to his music, and eating his favorite foods. She said she eventually begged her daughter to go out and find joy again. That the concert, the laughter, the TikTok, it was all for Dominic. But the jury didn't believe it. Neither did most of the public. In her police interrogation video, Mackenzie wasn't crying. She wasn't shaken. She brushed her hair, struck poses, and acted like she was on a video call with a friend. Psychologists who reviewed the footage said she showed signs of emotional detachment and possibly a personality disorder. Still, the question remained, why? Why kill them both? Why Davian? Prosecutors argued that when Mackenzie was overwhelmed, she stopped seeing people as human. Davian wasn't her target. He was just there, a passenger in the backseat. An afterthought. Her rage was for Dominic, but in acting on it, she destroyed 3 lives. Mackenzie's defense never wavered. She insisted it was all an accident. Her parents repeated the same thing. "She's innocent. She's our daughter." But the evidence told another story. On August 21st, 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla was sentenced to life in prison. She would be eligible for parole after 15 years. That day, the judge addressed the courtroom. This isn't just about the young woman on trial. It's about Dominic and Davian, 2 boys with their whole lives ahead of them. 2 families devastated, and a 3rd family now mourning what their daughter has become. You looked directly at Mackenzie. You chose death. You chose the road. You chose the time. You floored the accelerator. You turned the wheel. This wasn't an accident. It was cold, calculated, and cruel. And with that, the courtroom fell silent. Mackenzie Shirilla, once a teenager with a bright future, was now a convicted murderer. In one moment of rage, she didn't just lose control of the car, she lost control of herself. And because of that, 2 innocent boys are gone. And Mackenzie? She's lost everything. Today's video ends here. Thank you all for watching until the very end. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.